Welcome once again to another edition of Just Unsecure, where we focus on cybersecurity and leadership. Well, as you all know, my name is Babz and my co-host, OO. So, we want to thank everyone for hitting the like button as usual. And before we go ahead, don't forget to subscribe. Today's topic is going to be something leadership from a cybersecurity perspective, but we're going to be focusing on how cyber leaders are set up to succeed. And we'll go through that right after this break. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Like I said, we're going to be looking at how cybersecurity leaders can succeed in their day-to-day activity, being leaders within the cybersecurity space. What do we know about this? Most people will say, well, we've been in industry that long. We should know a thing or two about leadership. I'm in leadership. My colleague always in leadership. We've been in leadership before. We're doing different roles now. So let's shoot ahead. Oh, what do you want to say about this topic?
When you talk about how people are set up for leadership, there's not one bullet that you can just fire. We talked about how to navigate some of this environment, especially with some leadership success criteria on being a successful CISO. But this time, we thought it's a good way for us to come in at this to give some of the insight that we had when we were in those positions as leaders and being able to advise others on how to set up for success across the industry based on people that we've known, that we've seen that practice the same thing in the industry, what has been successful.
Absolutely. So maybe just go straight into it. I always love things that leaders within cybersecurity should always do. Maybe this is my own personal opinion, but I think it's a general practice against leaders is build connections with people around you. And why would you think building connection is key? Like I said in one of our session as leaders, is people should know about what you can offer to the table, but also what people can assist you to do. Remember, as a leader, you're not supposed to be the one to do everything. And I think that's part of a session we talked about, which was being able to delegate. And you can only delegate if you have strong connection. Sometimes you don't just delegate to people that are directly reporting to you. You can actually delegate that people that see you as a valuable partnership, should I say, and able to help you out in what you want to achieve. And again, if you don't build that connection, widen your network, should we say, that becomes very difficult. So for me, I think building different connections, maybe HR, you're not in HR, building connection with the business. You might not necessarily be with business, building connection with the finance department, which is key, building connection with different arms of different people that would may help you later on. So I think for me, the key one is, that connection, building different connection in different parts of units, industries as well. It doesn't have to just be within your organization. You could flat out go out, but let's be not being too selfish, but help me help you kind of a thing. People that you think, oh, this person will be able to help me out. Maybe not right now, but later on, build connections. That's the game.
Absolutely. This connection can either be, of course, whether one-on-one or you build a connection of greater team, of set of 5, set of 10. You must be able to build that connection across the organization, even within IT, right? Are you even building connection with the CIO or the vice president of IT? If you are reporting to that, are you even building connection with CFO that you're probably going to have some fund from, anyways, to get approved on your budget. Having said that, another thing is what you have been measured on is metrics in your program. So you need to leverage on effective metrics and drive ownership and accountability. While you're not as as a CISO or information security manager are the ones trying to configure stuffs, are the one trying to do application security, pen testing yourself. You have people that you are actively leading to be able to do that. But what are the metrics that the organization have actually given to you? What is the point in your compliance? How many of the vulnerability have been closed from the last quarter to this quarter? What is your metrics in the business, especially as you are supporting those different business criteria? We are not saying that you're 100% secure. You're 100% there, but you have what the organization KPI has been on you, especially when you take up this job, this leadership. And the metrics could also be on people as well. Do you even have enough staff? Are there people that have been coming into the organization and you're losing skills almost every year? Is your goal like, yeah, we have to retain this number of skills for the year? What are those metrics? Is it the KPI that is regarding the security on how to meet compliance, or is it even your people, or even the way you respond to the business goals? For example, if a business needs to launch a particular product every time and you are the one that is a clog in the wheel, or your team is a clog in the wheel, how do they perceive you? They see you as a no person. They see you as a blocker, not as an enabler. So this is what you need to present to everybody, your metrics at every time. It might not be only PowerPoint. It might just be even something that you could gamify to show them that you're doing great. So I believe this is how you are set up for success. This is how they see you, that you are adding value to the business and value even to your colleague as well as a leader in cybersecurity.
Absolutely. I think that's spot on from the key, the key performance indicator, KPIs, is one key area that every leader should be able to either provide a program that for people to use, or be able to deliver that for people to be able to keep accountability of what they deliver to you as a leader. So no doubt, I'm definitely on that train of thought as well, having a matrix for people to follow to keep accountability. Another one I think for leaders is, when you get to a leadership position, you should realize it's no longer about being competent, it's more about being effective. And I keep telling people, okay, there are four kind of criteria people look at, and when growing up into the executive. So for me, I think with what we've seen and what we kind of know is, first, you're technical. You must be
Yeah.
technical, very technical. Not very technical, but you must be technical to know your work. You must be, if you're a pen tester and you don't know how to detect or be able to do a vulnerability scan, how are you going to even be a pen tester? Do you understand what I mean? So
Absolutely.
having that technical knowledge is the first step. Okay. Then from that technical perspective, you can become the team lead. The team lead means, okay, you can lead a team successfully, but that doesn't still make you leadership. You can move from the team lead to become a manager. A manager now means you're giving more responsibilities, more tasks to do. And now, as a manager, you being able to pen test is not what your
You'll be
organization needs you
measured
to
from.
do
Well, exactly.
exactly as a manager. So you can be the best pen tester in the world, but once you're a manager, the whole point is they want you to manage. And now moving from manager to the next level, which is now leadership. That means more people are willing to follow your direction. And that is a very key step, being a manager and a leader. A leadership role means people want to see that the decisions you take on their behalf leads them to the promised land. So that is the leadership aspect. And now, from that leadership, there's now another level. Sometimes some organizations finish in leadership, but from from a CISO or a cybersecurity professional who wants to get into the executive, I will want to actually break the bad news in a good news kind of way. It's not about how competent you are. It's about how effective and how much people know you in the organization. In other words, the politics. And we spoke about this previously. Letting people understand, you knowing how the organization plays out, that is when you now become, let's say, more into the executive level. You understand what I mean? As in, it's no longer about whether or not there are 5 vulnerabilities that are critical, or whether or not you're managing the team, or whether or not you're leading. Leadership and executive, sometimes people intertwine this as well, because sometimes leadership are in the executive position, but the smaller the organization, yes, the leadership is the executive, but the bigger the organization, the executive and leadership are a bit different. So again, it depends on the organization you're in. The whole point is, in these two roles, you start to play more of political awareness. And as you, as a leadership, you must always ensure that, again, people understand cybersecurity, but first and foremost, you are aligned to the point that you understand the business objective to align to cybersecurity. There are different levels to leadership: technical, team lead, manager, leadership, and executive. It all depends on the category you want to look at it.
Babs, I like the way you've technically explained this, but I'll try to make it much more let out of the bag. Man, you need to know how to play the ball with the C-suite. Whether you're going to go out to go and play golf with them, or you will go to the bar at night and sit down with them and drink, or go to their party or whatever it is. That is what we're talking about. And your competency at this level, that you know cybersecurity from front page to the cover page to the back page, is very good only for your team. Being
It's not relevant
effective will
at
probably
that
with a
level.
CIO or someone like that, but not with the C-suite. At this point, you're at that pinnacle in which you need to be able to relate with your executive, with your other business guys, on how to get your goal met. And your goal met: budget, head count, relevance, being involved in the management meeting, of course, and if you are reporting to the board, you know the stake. So you need
Yeah,
to sharpen your suit, your t-shirt, your whatever it is, and create that visibility. This is one of
absolutely.
the strangest area that most of us that comes from the background of technical and IT is not sitting in properly. But that is why you see most of the CEOs now bringing in a CISO or information security director from completely outside of IT and background of cybersecurity, because they want someone relatable. So definitely, if you don't have this skill, you need to build it.
I think you fleshed it out better. I didn't want to be so blunt in telling them they needed to go for drinks,
I,
but
I,
hey,
I
that's
have
it.
I have to be blunt, because remember that is what we had to do. Definitely to
You
create that
understand?
connection, to get some things pushed that we couldn't push in the office. And
Yeah.
don't worry. If you want other tips, please check us out 101. We'll let you know how to play that very well. Another one, which also more like back pocket into what Babs just mentioned about being effective, is also communication. Being
Yeah.
a great communicator. PowerPoint, as fantastic as it is, your Excel sheet for reporting, we always call it one name back then, we call it compliance report, we call it governance report. They are fantastic. Your KPIs, all those green and red lights, fantastic. Up and down, they are great.
Yeah.
But sometimes this becomes so bored that you are almost predictable whenever you go ahead and present this. Now you might need to change those tactics to different team. Your executives, you might even gamify for your executive, for instance, on security things, and just make them feel, because your executive are already competitive. So you might find different things, different arena to be able to communicate the same metrics that you have and meet different team in their in your communication strategy. Sometimes you just need to garner relationship with other people, and
Yeah.
just in a one-on-one speech or interaction with your CFO, you speak in their own time on what they understand. In a business guy who needs to launch his own product, but you need to communicate about the need for security. Probably you need to bring this down to what we usually call back then in our own currency, naira and kobo, or or you talk about a dollar and or pounds or whatever you're using, or yen. You need to be able to break it down to say, oh, this is what it's going to look like for you if this particular thing happens. So that communication is necessary, and it's critical. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think for that, communication bit is very key for leadership. Being able to, like you said, being able to communicate your thoughts to non-technical people. And again, a tip is whenever you're doing a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation, always try to engage the listeners. Always try to put pictures. Always try to, when I say pictures, not unnecessary pictures, but a value to your presentation, not lame, not black and white, with you just talking over your presentation while they're just reading what you're presenting. So trying to, like, when you're doing the KPIs, like you mentioned, different colors, red for not so good, yellow for, a bit in between, green means everything is super, a bar chart, try to mix it up to entertain and let people be like interested and talking about what you're presenting. When people don't talk about what you're presenting, then they're not engaged. The point is engaging people in your presentation. And like you said, ensuring that people, different aspects of your presentation touch different aspects of the organization. So indirectly, you're focused on every aspect of the organization. So a good leadership will look at, okay, I need some people in the cybersecurity that are experienced to work in the technical area. That is HR. And this, the level of people that experience with 5, 10 years experience would cost this amount. This is finance. Do you understand? Broaden the horizon to the
Yeah.
point that you are capturing every single unit within your organization, the business factor, what it means to have a good cybersecurity engineer, what it means to have a good information security analyst, the business impact it would make, the benefits to the organization. And I think all that, once you're able to package that in your presentation, and you'll feel the vibes once
Yeah.
you start presenting. You'll see people interested because you're not just targeting one group of people, you're targeting everybody in the room, and everybody has a stake in information security, or should I say cybersecurity general. And like we said, security is what? Everybody's business.
Everybody's business.
So in your presentation, always try and get the entire ecosystem of every unit in the organization, not just one specific area. So,
Absolutely.
and that leads to my next area for leaders in cybersecurity. To be successful, always ensure that whatever you're communicating in your presentation, in your ways of building relationships, in your ways of networking, the main goal is that the business objective of the organization aligns with what you are doing within the cybersecurity unit or space. Remember, if the business and what you have do not align, then there's a problem. You always have to be able to align. If the business says in the next 5 years they want to be secure, then you must be proposing solutions of how they're going to be secure within the next 5 years. You must be, you shouldn't do it now, but you should have a roadmap that aligns with the business. If the business says they're going to want to make a profit with 10x, then you must be saying, look, if you secure this initiative in the next 5 years, we'll support the initiative of building more revenue within your organization. So for me, it's just about, you know, the business objective and what you're achieving within cybersecurity.
Yeah, you've touched a very key point, and sometimes we just thought, yeah, security is at the back there, is waiting for when the business wants to launch a particular product. For instance, I'm just saying product, a software wants to go live, and then they just come, yeah, oh, security, tell us that this is secure. And then at that point, you would probably give them a long list of what they ought to have done to make it secure. We will never be in that point that will be liked or will be supported. We'll always be seen at that light that we are the blocker. So as a leader, what you need to do at the beginning of the year, as Babz has said, you already know where the business is going. If the business is saying, guess what, this year we want to save, we want to be much more agile and save a lot of money by making the product go live early. That means in one way, you have to be from the beginning as part of the product development. So as the product is being developed, you are part of it.
Yeah.
In fact, you are in the meeting where already when they need to push the budget, they've already captured everything that is going to involve security in that budget. That means you are even
Yeah.
part of the people that goes to present that initiative to the CEO, to the board, or to the business owner. When IT is preparing the budget in the year, you are there. When the business guy is presenting his budget in the year, you are there because they've, as part of the business, they've included security as a fiber to grow the business. So they see us as a business accelerator rather than what people say, like, for example, a cost center.
Yeah,
No, we're
exactly.
not.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that will help to be able to grow and be able to match the business objective. And business says, guess what? I'm going to the cloud. I'm going for my application that I'm using internal, and I'm just laying this as a core example of what Babz and I have encountered in the enterprise. The business says, guess what? This application, I'm making it a SaaS application, and I'm going to take it to the cloud completely. I'm going to destroy the on-premise one. And this is a 1 year timeline. What are you doing as security? Are you aligned to that? Are you already trying to see what kind of compliance that will happen on that SaaS environment in the next 1 year? Are you part of that discussion? Are you part of that? Have you been proactive rather than reactive? That is when they see you. Or your business is turning to agile development. Are you still waiting for them to get to the gates of pre-production before you start scanning? Or you're already developing automation from your application to be part of that CI/CD pipeline? Just laying it down for you. So
Yep.
those are the conversations that security needs to have. And then being able to meet the business objective from both perspective of technical and non-technical as well.
Yeah.
Another thing is risk-based approach on your governance and management. At what
Yeah.
point are you saying no? Because you are not even going to. We hate saying no, right?
Yep. Everybody is saying no. Absolutely. Yeah.
We hate saying no, but whenever you need to approach the management, especially when you are asked if this product can go live or not, or can we do this business this way? Can we expose this application to the public, for instance? What it should be as a leader is on a risk-based approach. If you say you're going to go on, this is what needs to be done, and this is what can happen, and this is the risk that can happen to the business if we fail to do nothing. So, for example, you want to buy equipment, buy solutions, buy software, buy technology, employ guys that are going to defend the organization. What is the downside? What is the cost of the business if that is not done? So
Yeah.
if it's going to cost the business $2 million on a particular compromise or exposure or damage, and you are asking for 2.5 million to be able to mitigate that, it's above, but they can understand that beyond some things that are not quantifiable, things can happen. But if you're asking for the same amount to be able to defend the business, how do you
Yeah.
think the management is going to react to that? They're probably going to tell you, that makes sense. Based on the risk approach that you have mentioned, if we're going to lose $2 million per hour, so, and it's going to cost us 1.5 million or the same amount to put mitigation on, why don't we do the same?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think for me, like this is one of the key things for every cyber security leader to be successful, ensuring that you create an effective risk governance and process. So, what O has just stated is one of the key things for any successful cybersecurity professional out there looking to be a leader. What you need to know is that in everything you do within the cybersecurity space, you need to have a risk based approach, the mindset that, not everything is a risk, but everything needs to be identified and assessed. So when I say that is you can do a vulnerability scan on your network and there are issues, there are vulnerabilities. You need to assess those vulnerabilities on how your own architecture is set up and how that vulnerability really affects you. So if you have, I'll say, if you have systems that are not internet facing, for example, and there are vulnerabilities out there that says needs to be patched, the vulnerabilities are not internet facing. They have no network connection to the external facing network. Yes, don't get me wrong, they need to be patched still, but the priority of patching will not be ASAP because it's not internet facing, no one, and you also have mitigation in place in terms of there's also internal firewalls before you get to those systems. It still needs to be patched, but you can take a while to get it done. If it has to be patched within 7 days, you can say no. Okay, let's reassess it. 30 days. There's this mitigation in place, and that's because you've done your risk evaluation on that particular asset. If that particular same asset was internet facing, people could connect to it internally and externally, and there was a vulnerability, you need to patch that like if it was yesterday. So the whole point is that your risk assessment and the way you process your risk is some things that very few leadership people can do. And that is what try say management and leadership kind of catch people on. The technical guys always want to do, oh, this tool I've said this is critical. Then the question asked, okay, why? Oh, because the tool says so. No, that's not good enough. You can't tell me because the tool says, so, have you assessed our network? But we have a firewall in place. So are you saying the firewall that we bought for 1 million, $1 million is useless because it can't stop this? When people start asking you questions and you've not done your own risk assessment and evaluation, even a vulnerability assessment internally as well, then you'll be looked at, or questions will be raised to what you're doing. But once you can put a risk assessment and a risk process in place to assess things and be able to tell management, okay, you want this activity done and this is the risk you're facing also from a financial perspective. So maybe I'll jump the gun a bit, because when you get into leadership, you should be able to know your finance as well. Forget, like I keep telling people, it's not about being technical when you start getting towards the leadership perspective. It's all
Correct.
about knowing the numbers, knowing, okay, I'm going to buy a firewall for $50,000, just an example, and I'm going to have people employed to manage it, $30,000.
Mm-hmm.
The risk of the solution that they're going to be protecting if it gets hacked will be, $25 million. If we're
Correct.
able to get people firewall, people to manage it, we're going to save ourselves what, seven, eight, another $10 million. If you do those assessment and you're talking to leadership and the C-suite, there's no way they would want you on their team, because you're not just showing technical abilities, you're showing management, executive, leadership traits to them. And that is what they will be looking for. So, just to say, even though we're talking about risk management and management process here, that is a key area for every successful cybersecurity leader. So, again, always look into that risk management process.
Absolutely. And, it's also to lay it blunt.
Man, don't use an hammer to kill an ant.
Because you could actually even eat your own finger, or God use a double barrel gun to kill an ant. It's a waste of your bullet and a noise.
That's cool.
So things like that. So you might want to look at things much more critical. What is going to cost the business to be able to put those mitigation in place,
Absolutely.
and what's the impact, including your DR.
Absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
another talk for another day. You can also look at
Yeah.
our business continuity podcast for that, on how to be able to build your DR as well.
Yeah, and I think we promise there's some topics we will also do regarding presentation skills, because people need to know how to do that. That's one of the core areas for leadership and risk management processes that you need to put in place. I think will. Do you have any other thing you want to talk, or should we recap?
For me, I think we should just recap quickly. That is, those are the top things on my mind, and I think you've nailed a lot of things that I've mentioned.
I think one was building connections within
Yes.
your industry. The other one
Leverage your
was,
metrics and drive ownership and
yeah,
accountability.
effectiveness is more important than
That competence.
competence.
Be a great
Um,
communicator.
Beautiful. Align security initiatives with business objectives.
Objectives. And then, of course, create effective risk governance and management process.
And there you go. Like I said, if you want to learn more, just keep following us. Click that subscribe button and follow us. We come out every other week, and hope you enjoy everything we say. And you can reach us at JU
JUT.
team at justunsecure.com, and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. We're out there. Thank you very much. Oh,
Catch you next time.
bye.